I was one of three children. I was a middle child, but I was sort of a mama's boy. My mother was a former school teacher. We living in a little town where you can walk from one end of the town to the other end in about 5 minutes. And the population in the town was about 4,000, of which about 2,200 were Jews. I was going to a boys' school together with Catholic boys. The Catholic boys had catechism studies, and the Jewish boys had Jewish religion taught by a Jewish teacher. We were sort of segregated from the Polish population, not necessarily because of any law or any restriction, but we just kept, the Jews kept to themselves and the Poles kept to themselves. Anti-Semitism existed, but I didn't experience it as such. In fact, after the war, when I went back to this little town, I had people tell me, "Why don't you just stay here? You're just like one of us." The war broke out the 1st of September, 1939, and the Germans came into our little town where we lived on the 10th, which was a Saturday. And we were taken to a field that day. The men were separated from the women and children, and we spent the night out in the cold. It was cold at night. While we were out in the field, they demolished or burned 162 homes. They wouldn't let us at first into our homes, but toward the end of the next day, we got there, and the German soldiers looted the houses. I had a collection of stamps that I was so proud of, and some German soldier came and took it. I really was heartbroken. After that, we closed up the house and went into a village where we stayed with some people that we knew for about 2 weeks. Then we went back to the house, and then it started out. You see, the Germans posted proclamations saying that all Jews, this is who started, when the civil administration took over, all Jews have to wear white armbands on their right arm with the
Do you
Star
remember
of
what
David.
you were feeling like the first day you had to do that?
We, it got to be a symbol of pride. We had armbands embroidered. We had some of the girls wore them down below the arm, and it was. We didn't look at it as a symbol of persecution, but what they did do is if you wore an armband, they could take you, snatch you from the street, and put you to work. The schools were closed for the Jewish students,
Right.
so we didn't have school. And I volunteered to go to work because I sort of wanted to take off the pressure off of my father. And I worked. And one of the things that saved me is the fact that I established a reputation of being a worker. My father was taken away in 1941 He was sent to Auschwitz, and he was killed. And I became the head of the family. And my mother sort of looked after us. She was a hustler. I mean, she looked to see that her children were taken care of. When they liquidated the ghetto, when they took us to a place called Rzeszów, and in Rzeszów is where they made the distribution, final distribution. The people, like my mother and the rest of my family, went to Belzec, which was strictly a death camp. They were there, taken there, they were unloaded, undressed, and marched to long trenches that bulldozers dug and machine gunned into them. I was taken to a camp. The camp was Pustkov. Mm-hmm. Because I had been working. I was a little boy. I mean, you know, I was 13 years old. I applied myself. I worked hard. And I attribute my survival primarily to people who didn't push me, didn't send me, you know. And this man who said to me, "I'm going to make a break for it," and I didn't know that I was going to go. I didn't know. You know, I didn't have anybody close to me. Mm-hmm. And then this man, who was really not that close to me, he said to me, "Are you coming with us?" You know, when they were getting ready to go. And I said, "Yeah, sure," not knowing what else to say. And I grabbed whatever I grabbed. And I went with him. And you know, for all those years, he sort of looked after me. But that's where the, I don't know, I just think it was luck.
What was going through your mind?
Well, you see, while we were in the forest and while we were hiding, we just didn't have, emotionally we were dead. There was no feeling of and here was the opportunity that you said to yourself, I made it. I did. I really survived. So, I mean.
When you think about it, what do you think about?
Well, I had a lot of trouble. See? I get so emotional.
That's okay.
We were a closely knit family, and I was 14 when I was in the woods, and no supervision, no instruction, no nothing. I mean, I used to read scraps of paper that we found here and there. There was no way that I could face the world the way I was, and especially after I was liberated, and I was in a private home. There were two other boys and I that we escaped, stayed together. We had the housekeeper, and she sort of looked after me. I mean, but I cried at night because I didn't have a mother. And see, I get so emotional about this.
Tell me about the day of liberation.
Well, we knew that the Russians were coming. We knew that the end was near. Mm-hmm. There were a total of us. The total was 8 survivors. We went, and this is the Liberation Day. This was it. And we went to this farmer's house, and he had cooked. He knew we were coming over there, and he had cooked soup
And how old were you on Liberation Day?
I was liberated in August, and I was 18 on my next birthday. I have 4 children, and when we were bringing up the children, my wife used to say, there were times she'd say, "Now you don't understand them. They're teenagers. You were never a teenager yourself." I wasn't. I was deprived of the gradual change, from childhood to teenagers to adulthood, or go through the period of time. I want people to know how one people can take the law in their hands, pass the laws, and do things seemingly legal, and to persecute, to do to another people the ultimate killing.